What's going on, everybody? Good morning, guys. Good morning, team. Welcome back to the MentorFX private mentorship. Welcome. This is webinar 132. We've got some beautiful things on the agenda. Some amazing trades this last week. Let's get the share screen started here as well. There we go. Hello, guys. What's going on? Get my chat moved over here as well. What an absolute beautiful, crazy beautiful week this week was. Good morning, Christmas soon. Another beautiful year coming to an end. Yes, sir. This year is coming to an end, but it's been a very eventful one. This month we've already had, I think, four or five brand new funded members, which is just absolutely beautiful things to see. And we got big things, yes, big things coming in 2024. So today is going to be like any other. It's going to be replicating, once again, the exact same things we've done over and over again. Hopefully jumping into a little bit of the weeds for some people that might have questions about certain things. First of all, before we even get started today, I do want to quickly disclaimer for everyone. As you guys know, most people lose in the markets. Everything that we talk about, everything that we kind of discuss, anything I show, any trades that I discuss should be viewed from a simulated environment only. And just because I might have results or funded members might have results or other members might have results, it's not indicative of you potentially having results, of course. I'm going to get rid of the annotations. Thank you for that. Disable that. Do I have a cap set right now? Yep, seems like I got a cap for some reason. Very weird. Give me a second. So I'm going to quickly check on the cap, make sure there's no issue there. I don't know why that's happening. It does seem like that's the case, though. But today the main goal is to give everybody a chance to just ask any questions they might want to ask, kind of go more in depth with stuff that... Crystal capacity. 1,000. I see the problem. Okay, give me 1 second, guys. What's up, Apo? Good to see you, man. Yeah, just taking care of one quick thing here. There we go. I think the cap has now been lifted. Should be lifted. Everyone feel free to join. Okay, beautiful. Beautiful. All right, guys, welcome back. So I'm just gonna start from the top. As always, today nothing insane is on the agenda. I want to go over my personal NAS trade because this one has just been absolutely insane. I took a loss earlier this week on Euro US dollar. Finally traded it for the first time and took a very quick loss. I believe somewhere up here. I don't exactly remember where it was. I'll have to find that really quickly. But US 100 has just been absolutely insane. Like, this market has been disgusting with what it's been up to. I had a one-on-one with someone this week, or a few people, but I'll make that available to everybody here soon. Let's get rid of all this. But yeah, this thing has just been absolutely beautiful. Accumulation, kept following the accumulation, and now in this trade. So hopefully we get another crazy move out of this thing, and we get to continue riding this one out. We'll see how that goes, and we'll discuss parts of it today and how it correlates with some of the stuff that you guys are hopefully learning as you walk through the course, because many people, more intermediate or even beginners, think that the ICI, as in the entry criteria that I'm currently using, as a lot of you might know, oftentimes, let's say we're in a bullish market, so let's draw something up where higher time frame is in some kind of accumulation or moving in a very clear way, lower time frame is moving in maybe a reaccumulation or something. So when I'm entering, let's say, a trade like, and then it comes down, and then I enter a trade like so, there is still, whoops, and then it comes up or whatever it might be. And then I enter a trade like so. Let's say I enter a trade right here. So this is often what my ICI setup will look like. It often will look a little bit something like this when I'm entering personally right now. And it's based on, of course, kind of what you see inside of here as well as inside of here. It's almost a fractal, right? And the main thing that I'm looking for is basically this, right? So it's this setup. It's the ICI. This is what I personally kind of look for. This is what I've trained my eyes to see over time for my personal entry now. And my entry, of course, is through the buy stop of this high. Now, what I've seen happen for a lot of intermediate or even beginner people is they associate this part of the course or this piece of material, this kind of entry, as something completely brand new, as something that is different to what was being done before. And they start thinking that, you know, things need to be changed or they need to watch the brand new stuff as the only way that they're going to learn how to use the ICI or whatever it might be. But what they're missing is the main point, which is that this is a build upon of the prior concepts of MBs. What you will notice is if you go back and study every single one of my entries, the current entries, even though they follow this model, so this is, let's say, a model for entry. This is what I use as the ICI, right? So it's the ICI, and then there's an inside one as part of that setup. If you go and you study each setup that I personally take, so we're going to go and look at these on the actual timeframes in a second. So let me actually show you them right now. So if you go and study even these setups on their own, the buy stops that I'm taking, yes, they follow that same method where you have some kind of that impulse, this, and you're taking that setup as the ICI. Yes, if you follow this and follow it and draw it out as you want, yes, they follow that model, let's say, for the ICI. But what people are missing in regards to what has been taught throughout the course from the very, very beginning is that this is nothing more than the buy stop of an MB. So as a lot of you know, a large portion of what I taught and the entry criteria that I personally used to get involved with most of my trades prior to the evolution and the refinement of what I currently do and what I've been teaching very, very recently. What I used to teach is this formula for following trades where I would wait for a double MB to occur, something along these lines, right? And then for me, simply, I would either be buying at the limit of one of these areas. So once this has formed, however it might have formed, I'd be setting a limit here or here to get involved in this prospective run, like so, okay? And prior to that and a little bit after that, the setup became, I'm actually going to ask you guys, what did the setup become still using the double MB before I even transitioned into, let's say, a new word like the ICI? Does anyone know what I was doing with these at another time or teaching as well at the same time? So he says SSC, no, not yet. Triple M, kind of. If you guys, so there's one big trade plan I've discussed a few times, and does anyone remember what I said you can do in regards to a double MB without ever needing, let's say, without ever needing to have a limit order? And Huzaifa got it right here, and it's an MB stop. And that's exactly correct, right? So I would be taking a double MB buy stop, right? So over some time and over a lot of teaching and a lot of one-on-ones, one of the main things I discussed was the idea of buy stopping a double MB if you were one of the people that didn't like the fact that you'd have markets run without you, or you'd have so many setups, but then the setups would not give you an opportunity. So instead what I gave you is this confirmation where, let's say price comes to a zone or price is moving from a zone, whatever it might be, and then it breaks, start setting up, and instead of waiting for another break and then setting a limit or anything like that, I simply taught you to buy stop the next MB, protecting either the first MB's low or the overall double MB protected low and looking to take it long. Now, as I do that, before I even go any further, does anyone notice what this looks very, very similar to as I just draw it out for you right here? Okay, yeah, perfect. Exactly. This is what I want a lot of your minds to go to right now, and this is exactly correct. So a lot of people in the chat are saying this is very, very closely related to an ICI, and that's exactly true. This is nothing different, okay? Take a look at this, and then compare that to some of the entries that you see me take here, or here that I sent out, but I didn't take because I already was in this trade, or here. They are nothing more than usually the intermediary buy stop of kind of the second or follow-up MB. That's what's happening. An ICI is no more than a change up of the definition of buy stopping an intermediate or real MB. That's really all it comes down to. And I really want to force your mind to see this for a second because I want you to realize that there's nothing new that's been added. Here we are. So perfect. So Emka just posted from 2021, August 26th. This is what I sent right here. This is one of the criteria I had made available. Okay, it's very big. It was at the very, very start of the kind of the course and the portrayal of a lot of the systems that I would use. But it would look for at a certain area to watch for price to start shifting higher through an MB, and then buy stopping the next MB simply with a protection of the second MB or the first MB, and look to take that higher. This is exactly what an ICI is. However, the reason the ICI, for me at least, functions a little bit differently is because it's not focused on enforcing it to be on the first or second, okay? So this is where I'm going to talk a little bit about the difference between MB and ICI. An ICI is always going to be an MB, but like a double MB buy stop is not always going to be an ICI. That's really all it comes down to, okay? And that's because for an ICI, what I have done over time is I've taken my understanding of MBs and I've forced them into, let's call it a model of entry that I'll be willing to take. So instead of looking for, let's say, a double MB like this to take a buy stop, I might look for price to, as it's coming to reaccumulate, I might look for price to make an intermediate MB1 here. So let's draw it out for you so I can show you this so you can see it visually. I'd make it for an intermediate MB1 here. And then on the formation, let's say, of another one, maybe there's another one that forms. So here's a second fractalized MB. Sometimes I'll still wait. And then as this, let's say, comes and sets something up like so, I will treat this as a new intermediate MB that I'll be willing to buy stop. And this is simply, let me redraw this now, an ICI entry. So now if I draw this for you, from this low to this high, let's draw from that low to that high, to this low, to this low, to this high, to that high, down to whatever low is here, and then buy stopping this, what does this entry begin to look like for you? A lot of you should be able to start seeing that there's simply an ICI. Okay, so the first things first is I want a lot of people to realize that nothing has changed since our beginning of teaching here. Okay, it still is completely rooted in the idea of an MB, of a double MB, of buy stopping the MBs. All that's happened over time is I've refined this setup here to what? To waiting for a specific set of circumstances that I'm used to seeing, buy stopping that area and protecting a much lower stop, because I know that the points that I'm choosing to get involved are going to be very, very quickly and likely to set up, so that then I can capitalize on hopefully quick profits into then hopefully large runs. But notice how the setup hasn't changed. Is this still a double MB or a buy stop of an intermediary MB? Yes or no? Yes, right? This is the same thing. Now, someone that's brand new, it's perfectly fine. This is the reason I go over this on one hand is because hopefully you're seeing that nothing has changed. As a new person that's just found his way into this mentorship, you are going to learn everything you need to know about MBs, and then you're going to see firsthand why I teach them to start with. So an MB, very simply, is a fractal SND, as we all know. So for instance, the way I taught it back in the day is here's a down push. Let's make it red, okay? That's the formation of a potential demand, and here's an up push, right? And let's make that green. This is simply a normal demand zone being created on a higher time frame, but on a lower time frame, it's an MB. How would that look? Well, if I went to the left and started drawing these without using any of the rules that I currently use, here's, let's say, a down move, okay? And then there's an up move away. Or we can draw it all the way up to here. That's fine, just to make it simple. An up move away, okay? So that's created a demand zone. Now, based on just the remastered course, what has this moment shown us? As this price has created this move higher. Yep, it's one validated demand, exactly, which has shown us that price wants to push long. Now, how can price push long? What are the only two ways that it can push long here? Because again, if we start thinking about this very, very mechanically, it becomes very easy to start understanding how trends form, right? There's two ways it can go long. It can come back to the demand and then go, or it can just go, right? Yep, it can mitigate or go. Those are the only ways that it continues. So in this case, we know price can do what? It can set up another red guy, right? Another down move, and then simply continue an up push. And this would sustain our given moves. But in this case, it just makes a larger down push, right? In this case, to mitigate this prior area here, and then makes another up push to here. Okay? And then what does it do again? Makes a down push to there, makes an up push higher. And all of a sudden, what does it do next? Makes a down push to there, makes an up push higher. Okay? So very simply, makes a down push to there, makes an up push higher. So very quickly, okay, makes a down push, etc. You guys are starting to see what forms a trend. Okay? This is what trends look like. This is all trends are. Take every single one of these now, skinny them up if you want, just skinny them up, and you get a trend. Okay? Trends are nothing more than the successive formations and validations of demand across time frames. Okay? There's nothing special about it. There's nothing crazy about it. There's nothing that you need to mathematically figure out so you can figure out the order flow, blah, 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 blah. This is all there is to it. Skinny them up, draw it out. This is what markets move like. Sometimes they mitigate, sometimes they don't mitigate. Okay? This is how MBs move. Now, let's say you were at this point in the market. What is one way to enter this market that guarantees that you can be in the move for the following potential moves higher? So not even ICI. Give me the simplest, yes, Philip, a buy stop. So if you set a buy stop here, and you throw your stop loss here, or what else can you do? You can set it down at another MB, or you can use a measure. What kind of measure could we use? What kind of measure do I use currently? Through my own evolution. Yep, a simple ATR. So we could make it just the average moves. Okay, so like whatever, maybe it's 50. So now it's protecting, let's say, a randomer area within an MB, but does this make the trade poor, or does it make it a bad trade? No, because you're with the money now, and you have the potential of follow through. So when the next potential leg comes in, this is what I'm making money on. That's as simple as it works. This is as, like, if you want to simplify my entire understanding of the markets and the way that I kind of trade, this is what's happening, okay? I am looking at the overall message of the market through the formula of MBs, aka fractal supply and demand. And then I'm buy stopping a intermediate or some kind of MB to continue the move. I have simply given it the word, the coin, the phrase, the definition of an ICI due to what it looks like to me, and a way in which that I can teach it easier, in a way that can stick to someone so they know what they're looking for. But at the end of the day, this is what's happening. So if I asked you very quickly, randomly now, is me buy stopping this high here a buy stop of an MB? Yes or no? Yep, exactly. And I'm happy to see a lot of yeses, because that's all it is, right? Again, you need to start thinking about it visually, but if I was to start drawing this out for you, you have a fractalized MB form, let's say here, okay? So I can give that, let's give it a red color. That's your down move, okay? Then you have a second one start forming. So actually you have the down move. You have the up move to validate it right here, okay? And then you have a down move that actually does come to mitigate. And what have I done here? I've buy stopped the next high. Because in this scenario here, this is a buy stop of what we could call a double MB. This is why double MBs have been and are one of the most powerful things that I've taught in this entire course, because at the end of the day, they are basically a measure of early trend and a very, very high likelihood position or high likelihood point for you to get involved to then sustain most of the potential move that can come. And the reason I use the word potential is because I really want you to get used to the fact that just entering doesn't mean shit. Right? Just entering doesn't mean you got it right. Just entering doesn't mean that your analysis is perfection. All it means is that a certain amount of things have happened. You're willing to take that potential risk, and now the reward can follow or it cannot follow. Right? So then I take this buy stop, and that's what I've taken. Now, in the scenario that I was taking this, is a buy stop where I put my stop loss under this MB a bad thing? Is it wrong? So people are saying no. Exactly. Good. I agree. is a buy stop, if I took this with a protection under the overall double MB, bad? You know what's interesting? This is a system for many people in the mentorship that have gotten funded. Just so you guys know, this is as simple as your system is. They buy stop the double MB and they throw their stop under the low. Okay? It does not have to be crazy, does not have to be complex, but you need to start being aware of what your system's actually doing and why it works the way it does. And you have to be aware of the fact that what I've been teaching hasn't changed, right? It's been the same thing all along. It's the exact same setup on repeat, okay? So why did this move up? There we go. It's like this. Okay, it's the exact same system on repeat. Now, in some scenarios, based on the way that you view the MBs, it can look like, and this is why I've developed the coin phrase for an ICI, it can look like I'm buy stopping the 4th, the 5th, the 6th MB. Let me show you an example. Can this also be characterized as a MB or fractalized MB, this down push itself? Yes, because it's multiple candles, right? It's more than one candle, so it can be. And again, for anyone here that's brand new and very confused, please do not worry. All of this will become very understandable to you as you work through the course. But at the moment, I want to showcase what's happening. So people that are intermediate right now, that are kind of at the point where they've been through the course, they've seen the MBs, and they're like, fuck, I want to learn the ICI. It's so special. It's like, you need to realize what's happening here. I haven't like done some insane thing to the market where I've changed, some insane drastic concept. All I've done is I've showcased to you that the things that you have learned and were learning are just being utilized in a way that has made more sense to me over time. So then, if I asked you, is this an MB or a second MB after it? So I connected a wick to another wick. Yep, it is. It's a fractal MB. Okay? How about the next one? From this wick to this wick? Yes. Okay. How about the next one? From this wick to this wick? Yes. How about the next one? From this wick to this wick? Yes. And then let's say you had this one here. Is that a buy stop of an MB? Yes. But in this scenario here, you're looking at a buy stop of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, about 6 MBs up. Okay? However, I'm not measuring my ICI setup from a standpoint of, is it the first MB, the second, the third, the fourth, is it the fifth? I'm measuring it from a standpoint of, is the move within the regards of what I want to see, and am I willing to buy stop the next potential intermediate MB to get involved in an entry, right? That's kind of the question I'm asking myself as I'm taking a trade. Yeah, of course, with context, right? I wouldn't ever do that without context. So I want you to realize that what I'm showing you here, there are ways to simplify this formula in the beginning. So let's say you wanted to buy stop this high, okay? Look at what that meets. If you had just used, let's say you were watching this, and then you had this push down. If you had used this high to this low as an MB, would that be wrong for you to assume that's an MB, a down move right there? Not at all. So it trades above right here, and that validates MB1. And then the second MB begins to be created. If you had buy stop this second MB, is that a good double MB buy stop entry, intermediate wise? That's a phenomenal one, right? And then you could have done what? Well, you can protect the MB, you can protect a portion of the MB, you can protect the overall MB, or you can protect, let's say, an ATR, an average range of the current movement, right? And now does this entry, when I say this is an ICI, or when I say does this entry of it being a double intermediate MB make more sense to someone right now that's, let's say, more intermediate? That's like, fuck, I don't understand all this like ICI shit. It's very random. It feels subjective. It's all kind of like, I just want to buy stop this high and that's it. Does simplifying complexity, something that I teach a lot of now in the current parts of the course, because again, as we get better, we start realizing where people go wrong and then we start to focus on those things. Does simplifying the complexity into, let's say, making a rule like so, where I have at least a double intermediate MB, make you start to see the ICI from a new perspective. So instead of you sitting there every day going, oh my God, okay, we might be in a reaccumulation. Oh my God, but it might be, oh my God, but I don't know if I should buy stop this or this. Instead, you can now go, here's an MB1 theoretically, and it looks like this setup here. So this would be my second MB, so that's where I should buy stop. And as long as it looks similar, I can take it. Does it look similar? No, it doesn't. Because here it happened over for about 2 or 3 candles. Here it's making a lot of intermediate price action. So now you have, again, a blueprint in front of you that doesn't make you force things, okay? So now instead, you can more so focus on what? These kind of setups, where you have price action, and you can add more things onto it. So right now, all we know is that there's an intermediate MB, followed by a quick, small, intermediate double MB after. That's all you have. Then you can add things to it. What context was here? Well, prior MBs were moving long. What other context was there? The MAs went from sloping upwards to a little bit sideways. What other context was there? We had been inside of a bullish range for a little bit of time, right? So then if we go ahead and try to apply this to another area, I actually don't see one that would have met this criteria at the moment. But if we then go and try to apply the same thing to another area, we can now find similar opportunities just like those that would then produce potentially similar or better results, right? Like this area is probably going to be very like that, where you have a bullish break, price is going to be inside of this range for a while, and then what happens? Price makes a longer term MB, then makes a quick MB here. Let me ask you, does this setup look like the one we just took? The answer is yes, right? Because now we're looking for a specific thing that we've started to get used to. And that's exactly what we want to do. Okay, that's what we want to get used to doing. We want to find something that makes sense in regards to the markets that we watch for the context that we're used to seeing, right? So you see a context, you go, hey, this is very bullish, and then it delivers bullish. So you know that your context execution or ability to spot a market that is good and moving clearly is there. And you go the step further and you ask yourself, what are the proponents of potential entries here? What kind of rules can I ascertain to those entries? And then if I apply that to different price action, does it create positive results for me? That's what trading is. That's all trading ever has been, right? And then everything here is, again, tools that then feed upon that, okay? So before I even start today's kind of webinar and we get deeper into the muck, I want you to see how the things that you've learned or are learning right now, if you are a beginner or an intermediate member who's like, fuck, why am I learning all this useless MB stuff? I want to learn the ICI right now. I want you to realize that it's nothing different. MBs, the way that I teach them, the way that they interact and what they are the functionality, the mechanics of what markets do. The way that we think about MBs and their rules, double MBs, okay, for instance, are functions of the market and what every market does when it's ready for a run or not a run. Then taking those MBs further and giving them models, giving them names, giving them, let's say, characteristics of choppiness or clearness in their movement, then gives you the ability to distinguish which ones are worth trading. Taking that a step further starts giving you opportunities, entry criterias for getting entered, whether it be through a double MB buy stop, whether it be through intermediate MB buy stops, whether it be through fractalized double MBs, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, right? Those are all then opportunities for entry. And then you put those things together and you have a multi-million-dollar system available to you, okay? That's what it looks like, and that is why I have taught the way I have taught from the very beginning, okay? So I want you all to understand that the reason that you're learning all the underlying stuff right now, and the reason that I haven't just sat here and put out a remastered course that gives you everything and it's super clear, is because at the bottom of it, everything that I've ever done is my entire knowledge from the beginning of how I built my own fundamental building blocks of my own rules, and how every ICI I take is nothing more than a version of this right here. This is how markets move. So you know what's interesting? Let's go over to the second trade that was like an absolute banger, and I'm still in this one right now. Take a look at the entry. Can anyone tell me what this looks like? Or actually tell me what this entry is. Walk me through it without saying it's an ICI. What is it? Take it a step further. Simplify it even further if you can. Yep, so 8 is correct. It's a double MB and a buy stop. What else can it be? So it's double MB and a buy stop, right? So here's what he sees. MB1, MB2, and I buy stopped it. Perfect. Someone said reaccumulation. Don't even need that. Mackie says it's a F double MB, then a buy stop. Yep. So you have an F double MB like this, and then maybe you could call this one another F double MB, and you take that trade. That's another way to view it. So it's a double MB buy stop, a fractalized double MB buy stop. What else is it? I mean, CS, kind of, no, because we're not buy stopping a down candle, so no. I already went over it. Is going to be the hint. I went over it in this example here. Is the only hint I'm giving you. I'm going to wait a little bit while I sip on my coffee and see if anyone gets it. So far, the only thing that's gotten it is double MB in a buy stop and a fractalized double MB. Perfect. Huzaifa got it. Intermediate buy stop of some MBs. Right? 1, 2, 3, 4, technically. 4 or 1 or 3. Again, there was no specific number or rule to the intermediates. There's just a standpoint of what it is. And in this case, the ICI in itself can be defined in a number of different MB measurements, which is again why, over time, I have given and coined a different phrase for the specific kind of entry I look for, because it's not based on counting the MBs. Instead, it becomes more based on what I want to see from price. And it becomes buy stopping. Let's call it this. What the ICI really is, in my book, is buy stopping the most relevant MB. That's it. So that means that as price sets up and price is doing whatever, and it's in a very clean market, and let's say it starts making down moves into up moves, something like this, right? At some point, what I'm doing is I'm looking at other characteristics of price, okay? And it's moving, and I'm saying, is it worth to buy stop this? No. Is it worth to buy stop this? No. And then this happens, and I go, that's what I'm buy stopping, right? That's what I'm buy stopping. And all I'm doing is that. Guys, that's the buy stop. And then I'm hoping that this takes me to much newer high ground, whether through instantaneous moves higher due to the fact that demand is already established, or through continuations of trend. Okay? That's my entire system. It is the understanding of MBs basically taken to, in my case now, their final point. And simply an ICI, if we want to define it, okay, is buy stopping the most relevant MB. Not buy stopping the first MB, or the second, or the third, or the fourth, or the double, or the triple, or the intermediate first, or the intermediate third. The only thing an ICI represents, okay, and you can repeat this or you can write this down for yourself, is buy stopping the most relevant MB. And what you might notice is if you go back even to my entries, you might notice that every single entry I take follows a very, very similar path. So this is one way that you could simplify, let's say, your buy stop of an intermediate MB in the beginning stages. So let's say you simply hearing that I'm buy stopping a random MB is too much for you to handle. Well, let's take a look at this setup. What did we notice that was similar between this setup and this setup in regards to just looking at them just now? What is one way we can simplify these? What did both of them share? What two characteristics did both of them share if we were to give them a simplification? Yep, so Aid said it, right? There was a double fractalized MB. The first MB was created just through trading higher from a down move. The second MB was created on the way up. So it was a buy stop of a potentially fractal double MB. This one, look at the same thing. MB1, MB2. It was a buy stop of the fractalized double MBs. Okay? MB1. MB started to form and then failed. So then you wait. MB1, MB2. Now let me ask you, if you took your ICI to the simple effect and you said that my current ICI system is going to be to buy stop a double intermediate MB, only doubles, given that they follow this formula, would this setup here follow that formula? Good shit. Yep. Mike and Dalen and Huzaifa. Yep. It would, because it's now following that exact formula. Now, the follow-up question, and the beginner should be able to answer this. If you're a beginner, do you think it makes more sense for you to take, here's your 12 years mentor, 12-year ment that's just saying I'm buy stopping ICIs and run with that? Or do you think it's better for you to take a simplification to the approach and only look for clarity in a setup like this until you get better or profitable with that one setup? And I think any beginner should be able to answer this, even if they're brand new, right? Through the simplification. Now, when you simplify at this level, what is the only thing that's different between your simplified system versus my system? Let's call it that. And think back to last week when we did this. PB got it instantly. PB got it. And it's that you'll just be taking less trades. Because remember, if my ICIs entail all these different forms, it can be 5 intermediate MBs, it can be this, it can look really clean like this, it could be sometimes even 1 MB, it could be double MB, it could be 3 MBs, then this is all the opportunities that might be available to me in any good context that I'm willing to trade. For you, though, you're only going to be taking this entry. So for you, you're going to be limited, okay? Now let me ask you an even crazier question. So this is everything that's going to be available to you. This was going to be available to me. Now let me ask you a crazy question. Can you get funded or make millions with just that? Okay. And do you think, so people are saying yes, of course, and you're fully correct. And then the question is, do you think it's worth the effort to put in, let's say, X amount more years before you start doing this live so you could learn this? So people are saying yes, but I think you guys misunderstood me. So PB is correct. I would say no. There's no point that you need to put in 4 years of your time, okay, 4 years extra time to learn this when you can start making money right now or within, let's say, a year or within a few months if you focus on learning this. Because yes, you might have less opportunities available, but what else do you have at your disposal now? What has happened that you allowed yourself to focus on this only after only a few months or let's say a year? What has also happened when you've only focused on that one thing? You have a profitable setup, guys. You've created an edge. Even if it's a small edge, even if it's an edge that you can only execute upon every now and then, you've created an edge, right? So now you're seeing firsthand why this belief system of like, well, if Anton is on 15 time frames, I need to be on 15 time frames. Well, if Anton sees the MAs and decides to trade all these setups with the MAs, I need to only follow those. Well, if Anton's taking any of these MBs, I need to figure out exactly how to do that. It's like yes and no, right? On one hand, yes, you can take the 5 years to get to that level, but on another, you can simplify any version of an entry that I might take or an entry of someone else that might take and simply study that and have a system and an edge and continue to learn along the way. That is always going to be a much better payoff, I think, for most people than you could ever imagine, right? If you're, how do we put this? Yeah, I don't have an example right now, but actually, I kind of do. Let's say you're going to war. You're about to fight in a war. Okay. You have 3 years to prepare for this war. 3 years. The war is happening. You have 3 years to prepare. You have the choice of either learning to be a sniper guy for those 3 years. You have a chance of learning to be on the front lines and command your team for those 3 years. Or, best case scenario, you can learn how to use a small gun, a sniper. You can learn combat, self-defense, how to fight with your hands. You can learn how to throw grenades and how to command a team. What do you think is going to give you the best chance of survival? Learning everything for those 3 years or learning one thing for those 3 years so you know exactly what's required of you, so the odds of you winning the war, not getting injured in war, and coming back alive and even successful is significantly more likely? Yeah, it's going to be the one thing every time. So the person that's sitting there trying to create an arsenal of every single thing, they're trying to learn how to use every scope, a scope, a laser, a reticle, how to hold a small gun, how to hold a big gun, how to hold a sniper, how to shoot a sniper, how to do breathing exercises. That person is going to have one chapter of each main thing known at the end of the 3 years. So they have the knowledge of basically surface level. So if you send them in they're fucked. And if you send in me, who hopefully would have been doing one of these things for those 3 years, I'm going to likely single-handedly bring home victory, right? Or come back profitable, or come back with a funded account. Hey, I went to war, I got a funded account. You know. But it's very important that in your beginning, in your intermediate stage, in your advanced stage, you start understanding that you're not here, once again, to trade the market. You're not here to be the market. You're not here to take every single opportunity in the market. You're just here to take your simple edge out of it. And that edge is going to be present some days. It's going to not be present other days. It's going to be present some weeks, some months. It's not going to be present other weeks and other months. And you simply just need to create rules for yourself and focus on them for now. PB says, so we should find specificity in the ICI we like to see instead of trading a broad range of ICIs. Of course, right? If you're just sitting here like, but Anton got involved in something that looked like this, I'm going to trade that. And Anton got involved in something that looked like this, so I'm going to trade that. It's going to get really, really hard. Now, what's funny is if you just spend like 6 months doing one thing, you're going to be able to build that one thing out into others very quickly. But if you spend 6 months doing one thing every single month, and then you're hitting 16 videos on YouTube every single month, and you're hitting 14 things on Instagram every single month, and you're hitting new discount codes on every new mentorship and every new prop firm for 6 months, at the end of those 6 months, you have zero learned skill that you can execute upon. That's it. That's what happens. And most traders, quote unquote, are doing this, but not only this, what are most traders also doing? They're living their lives. They're full-time somewhere else as well, okay? They're also focused on family. They also have to focus on money. So all of a sudden, holy shit, not only is in the trading space, you're doing everything that you shouldn't be doing, but you have other responsibilities that will make learning close to fucking impossible, right? And this is where 75% of people that fail or something, this is where those 75% of people find themselves, right? And on one hand, you can feel bad because these aspects here, in some cases, can be very crazy. But even when you just get rid of these aspects of all the other things that you're doing, even if your conditions, and then you look at what someone that, you know, has all these good or bad conditions are doing inside just the trading space, it becomes a fucking joke, right? The amount of traders that I've met, because I'm very much into the gaming side of things, and, you know, I meet gamers that also want to be traders, and, like, I speak to one guy, and he's like, listen, I've been watching this guy and this guy and this guy. Do you like him? I'm like, dude, this guy has literally only made videos on cars, and you're following him like to the fucking core, hoping that you're going to learn something. What's going on, right? And you would be surprised by how many people are stuck in a mindset of doing exactly that nonstop. Okay, let's continue. Let us continue now. So my entries, guys. So my entries are nothing more than a buy stop of the most relevant MB. Now, the definition as to why that is my most relevant MB comes from 12 years of experience, 8 years, 2 years at this point, because I was learning the ICI for myself for about 2 years now, 9 months, 2 years, whatever it is. That comes from a number of factors that factors in that experience, right? So it comes from, what do the MBs look like? What do the candles look like? What do the models look like? What do the MAs look like? And those things allow me to decide on the most relevant MB. But in that scenario, again, I want to ask you guys, and I want you to now answer me with your newfound knowledge. Does it make sense to try to replicate that, or does it make sense to take a simplified version of it and get really good at that? In the very start, at least. Yeah, it's to simplify. So for today, nothing special today. Oh yeah, nothing special. Well, I mean, like, I go, yeah, you know how it goes. So the takeaway for today, for sure, is to simplify some form of an approach. Create some rules around it and begin to look for it. Begin to follow it. Follow some live markets as you wish. Don't trade them. Follow them live. Mark them up. Then go back and keep on testing. Keep on testing. Keep on testing. Get very used to it, right? Do the things that I've made available to you. And that actually reminds me, guys, you all might be aware, but if you're not, then hashtag system down in the Mantifex Mastery section, you have part 1 and part 2 of I think very, very helpful content here. So 1 was made available like about a week ago, and part 2 was just made available. And you will see how I started trading a market, and then how you can actually understand when a market is shifting, truly shifting. You're going to see it firsthand. You're going to see some of the things that I have personally incorporated in my trading to understand when to sit out, and how even when I'm sitting out, I'm still watching the market, but I might not be even touching it, right? So this should be very, very helpful to you. JKX asks, hey man, do you use Wyckoff from section 3, of course, in any way in your trading now? Not labeling, no, but the actual fundamentals of Wyckoff, aka the transfer of weak to strong hands, yes. Right? Because when I'm buy stopping this, you need to understand what's happening. When I'm buy stopping here, or when I'm entering, let's say if I entered here, there's an understanding about why I'm entering there and about what had occurred or what had occurred. Right? I can now label any of one of these, but the labeling is not going to really be helpful to you. Right? Here's Wyckoff. There it is. Here's your spring. Here's a test. Here's another LPS, right? Or another test as part of a new Wyckoff. Now, that's not going to help you much. It is simply the transfer of weak to strong, the stage 1 into the stage 2, right? And I've taken that to its next step and simplified it for myself, but also made it clear as to how I'm going to get involved. Are you going to make MBs part of the new course? They already are. What do you think you're learning when the first thing I'm teaching in the newest course has been this? What do you think this is going to segue to, Matthew? This is literally the very first part of the newest course. And what did I just do for the first, how long has it been? What did I just do for the first 46 minutes of this entire webinar? I've drawn out this how? Fractally. That's what an MB is. Okay. So I want you guys to take this and just remember it going forward, because this is what I look for, right? Like, so let's say you're not using models the way I do or anything like that, or using MAs. Is this the same setup as the setup we've just spoke about? MB1, buy stop MB2. So you'd be buy stopping right here. It is. I don't know. Victor said no, but it is. It's the exact same setup. It's the exact same setup. It's just that double MB. Okay? How is the first red thing in MB? It's a fractalized MB. Down push, price trades higher. If you were to keep following US 100 right now, and you saw this happen, and then you want to buy stop this now as the next MB, is that clear in regards to every setup that happened before it that we just looked at? See, and this is why a lot of people struggle. Because right now, a lot of people are saying yes, but the answer is no. There hasn't been a single MB that we've looked at in those examples that we looked at where the first MB was created by a wick and then you buy stop a wick. Not a single one. This one was not created by a wick. It was validated by a candle, right? This one was not created by a wick. It was validated by a candle. This one was not created by a wick. It was validated by a candle. And once again, this is where a lot of people get caught up because they don't take the extra step of asking themselves further questions about the actual setup, right? Like, what things are similar here, what are not, right? And instead, because again, any concept can be forced at any point, they start to think, hey, this is making a perfect MB, I want to trade it. Now, if this was a candle, and then this started pulling back, is this a good buy stop? Yep. Someone said no, but I would say yes. I mean, so people that are saying you're actually right either way. So yes or no is correct. Yes, because the candle would be there, but no, because it would have now had multiple, not MAs. We're not talking about MAs right now, but it had multiple candles down. Every single one of these entries were happening after a few candles of just going sideways in one area, right? So this one you can see few candles sideways, breaks out. 2 candles sideways, breaks out. 2 candles sideways, breaks out. This one here, like more than 2 candles, clearly like 5 candles and all the way down here. So for this to set up now, right, it would look like that. Whereas these set up like this, and like this, right? So that's not what this has done. So in this case, a lot of you could argue that this doesn't even meet any of those criteria. But now I'm hoping you see even firsthand as you're right here, you know, with the rest of the group and kind of doing this interactively with me, how little a change has to be made to decide whether something is worth trading or not, right? And this is just looking at the MBs, not even at the context, the models, what's going on in the market, how does the market look, is it moving clearly, is it choppy, is it not clean, etc., etc., etc. So we're already able to differentiate taking trades or not taking trades simply by looking at, let's say, 2 prior entries. Anton, ask more question in a second. I haven't gone over the other questions yet. I've just been kind of going over this one point because I really wanted it to stick home for a lot of people. And I hope it has. So before I go any further, does everyone understand kind of the point I wanted to stick home, which is 1, why the fundamental building blocks of MBs are used the exact same way. They've just been refined. And number 2, how important it is to study your prior trades and the trades that you're doing and the simplified versions of your trades so you can understand which ones you're actually willing to take. Does everyone understand that? Because again, once you've simplified that exact point of your system, what have you created for yourself? What is basically a guarantee? Edge, profitability, making money with a funded account, getting funded, blah, 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 blah. The fun things that everyone looks at as like this high pinnacle that they're never going to reach, but in reality, it's right in front of you. And you can reach it a lot fucking faster than most of you probably even think that you can reach it for yourselves. It's right there. And it's fully in grasp. But you need to do this kind of work. This is the kind of work I've done nonstop. This is the kind of work I still do for myself to get better at the things that I already do well. Okay? So let's go up for a second. And let's work through some of through the questions and just, you know, talk to some of you guys because, well, why not? I miss you guys, you know? I miss you guys. And we got Christmas around the corner, so we might not even have a webinar. Yeah, next week is Christmas, and I'm going to be away. And then it's New Year's. So we might have to take a little break on the Webbies, but I'll definitely make sure to put some stuff out. But yeah. Just going up a little bit here, scrolling up a little bit. Because we got quite a bit of questions. What's up, everyone? Good morning from California. What's good, man? Happy to see you. Had that fixed. Morning. How's the family? Family is very happy, very healthy. We're going to hit some light show tonight, I think. So looking forward to that. Morning. Could you explain how to use a stop box? So yes, guys. So very recently, to the MetaFX Structure Premium, this long and short stop box option has been made available. Now, the best way to use this is to, once you've decided on the market you're trading and you decided the direction of the market you're trading, to keep it in that direction. So let's say you're looking at US 100 and you're long on the market. Just simply tap the long and leave only the long on there. You don't have to use both. Leave the long on there and just get used to it going one direction. And then very simply, this is a stop placement for if you buy stop an MB. That's really as easy as it gets. It's not any more complex than that. So for instance, let's go to a lower time frame. Let's say you're someone that's trading a lower time frame recently and you've been waiting to trade this thing. And let's say you've been waiting. So here you are on US 100. You're looking at it. A few time frames have been showing bullishness, but then it's like in this weird redistribution. So you wait a little bit. You wait. It's not so clear. The MA start turning up. You start liking it. You like the fact that it's been bullish on a higher time frame. It says redistribution, but you like that it's come down, broken up, come down, broken up twice. So you're looking at this and you're going, okay, I want to buy stop, let's say the next MB or the next relevant MB. Some of you already might buy stop this as is. Some of you might not. I personally don't like it yet, so I'll wait. Yeah, I don't see it yet. So I'd wait a little bit. Now it turns to accumulation. So now you're bullish. Now, again, if I get a nice little setup here, like so, something like this, I'll take it. And again, as I draw it, you can see MB1, MB2, MB3, or MB1, MB2. So again, you're kind of seeing it's the same thing on repeat. So you wait, you wait, you wait. And let's say, so for me personally, this actually looks pretty good. I like this as a buy stop. Okay, some of you might not take that. Some of you might say this is an MB1 or an MB1 from like down here, and you'll wait for one more MB or something like that. That's fine. Those rules can change from person to person. Personally, I'm happy with this. Now, simply if I'm buy stopping this, that's what this box acts as. Your stop can go anywhere in this box, and it's a good trade, is the way I think about it. So for me personally, as I'm looking at this, I'd probably throw my stop under this low within that box. Because again, the smaller this stop is, the more upside potential I have. But the closer I put it to the box, the less likely I'm going to be in the trade. So like if I get tapped in, I can get tapped out, and then price can go. So in my book here, I'm happy to throw it under here, just like that, and take that as a trade. Okay. So I'd wait now. Now you can see the green box moved a little bit, so you have the same option. You can throw it under here or down here. I still like this point here, so I'll just leave it there. And then you get tapped in. So now you just wait. Now let's say you didn't trade this one. Could you have buy stopped this next high as this was an MB as well? I mean, you guys know it's a yes. I'm not even going to scroll down here, but it's a yes. So then if you buy stop that, your stop could go in this green box. So you could also have it down here, or you could even throw it now under this point. Okay? And the same thing goes. So that's the only thing the buy stop box works as. And then you manage your trade, whatever, blah, blah, blah. This is actually a great trade right there. So again, if you took this one, this is a nice trade as well. If you had taken that one, throw your stop in the green box. I'll probably throw it under these lows and look to take it long, right? And that could be your trade. And then beautiful. Probably move to break even. Yeah, move to break even, move to break even, move to break even, and then let the rest run after you partial, blah, blah, blah. And you made millions, okay? So that's how the box is to be used. Once your direction is established, just tap the direction of the one you're in. And as you're buy stopping an area, this is mainly for buy stops, not limits, because of the way that it's calculated. It's a good area to put your stop, is the way you want to think about it. If your stop has to go under it, so let's say you're buy stopping this, something like that. Let's say you're buy stopping that, or let's say another one sets up right now. There we go. If you're buy stopping this, but you see the only place to protect this that's smart is like here, you can't take that. Like I would ignore this because I don't see a good place to protect right now. So I'd wait. Right now, it's making a little potential zone you can protect. Now, this setup, personally, I mean, it's not too clear for me. I don't like that it's right up here as well. But if you had taken this, your stop here could make sense. I would probably ignore this, give it a little bit of time. You can see it updates a little bit as it goes. And now, again, it's setting up another one. I'd probably ignore this too. I don't like this price action. Now, maybe if it comes down, comes up a little, and then sets something up here, I'll take it. I don't know if it'll do that, but let's see. Okay, cool. So now that it's setting that up, I would buy stop this. Okay, and my stop, again, does it make sense to throw it like under these lows? It does, so I just throw it under here and see what happens next. Breaks down, so it cancels, and that's it, right? So it just gives you an area to measure and take a setup through. And then it breaks down, comes up, starts chopping around. So nothing really clean here to work with. Don't like it. But you're still bullish because it's a very bullish market. Let's see if we get a little sideways. Yeah, so this is nice. So now, like, even the thing we spoke about, right? If you look at this like a fractal right here, if you could see price, let's say, trade up above that and then make a setup here, is that any different to the ones we looked at before? As a setup based on the simplicity that we were talking about. Would that setup be different? Right, so now people are saying no, exactly. Because now we had a simplification of what we're looking for if we were to trade it. So let's see if we can get that. So we don't get that. Right? But again, we don't have a rule for where the MAs are. So at this point, you could actually say this is 1 MB. So now we wait for another one. Let's see if we get it. That's 2 MBs. So you can buy stop this. And theoretically, if this doesn't validate in the next 2 candles, we should get rid of it because we're used to seeing how many candles go sideways? 1, 2, or 3. All right, and that's done. There you go. And you've protected your capital by simply having rules in place. So you then wait for the same thing maybe. So then you get like this random 1. 2 is forming now. So you could buy stop this, throw your stop in the green box, wherever it makes sense to you. Maybe you can throw it in this green box under these lows, and then look to take it long. 1, 2, okay, it validates it. No break even yet. Not for me, at least. And then what? Oh, and that's where you are. So now you're in this trade, right? So yeah, Victor says it's knife catching, but that's fine, right? Because remember, all I'm doing here is I'm showcasing a set of rules. And if your set of rules has only been simplified at the moment to taking MB, MB, that's a fine trade. And look at this. You're in this trade now. There's nothing wrong with that. It's a good trade, right? There's a likelihood that you could follow it. I mean, I'm in a long personally, but there's a trade, right? It's nothing crazy. Did it follow our rules? Is the first question. Yes. It did. So then you take it. Gonna go back up here now. Find out where we were. I hope everybody got their coffees. Enjoying their little coffees on this beautiful Sunday as we get ready for the week ahead. Okay, we fixed the cap. That's good. We spoke about the stop box. So hopefully you guys have been enjoying the stop box, or now you have an understanding about how to use it. So again, long or short, just enable that for whether you're going long or short. But I have them both on because I know what I'm looking for, so I don't really care about having either color there. So yeah. Could we run through the new indicator edition? There we go. So I got you as well, covered with that one. Greetings, sorry for being late. No problem. Being late is perfectly fine. Nobody's going to be attacked for being late. Hi, Anton. I know the price is fractal and the ICI system can work any time frame. Yes, it can. Unfortunately, I see myself struggling with lower time frame ICI identification. That's because you're likely taking too high of a time frame and jumping way too low, way too quickly. So you get chopped up more because you don't have specific areas of price that you're going to look for, right? Like notice how I jumped down to a 5-minute on the US 100 to follow the price, because the 15-minute and let's say the hourly was pointing towards bullishness. If your analysis is giving you hourly bullish, right, 4-hour bullish, and then you go to a 1-minute, you're going to be chopped up more. Why? Because the 1-minute is so much more disconnected from those time frames that you're going to get a lot more back and forth. So you need to have an intermediate, like a 5 or a 15, to decide where it's worthy to even step down to a 1 or a lower time frame. Okay? Because if it's true that your only problem is getting too low is making you chop up, well, up the time frame, because that's the problem that's happening. You're just not aware of why that problem's happening, right? So you notice that your win rate drops tremendously and the RR is much lower if I trade a 5-minute entry compared to a 15-minute. Yep, so that's very likely an issue there. The reason I identified is that on the 15-minute, the price delivery looks cleaner to me and the candles look less wicky. Yeah, at times, the 15-minute is almost always going to be clearer than the 5-minute. Why? Because the 15-minute has more time to process larger orders, and as a result, can move more clearly. If you're looking at lesser clear areas on a 5-minute, at all times that you would have been looking at a 15-minute, there's going to be more sections in time that are more choppy. If I look at price for 24 hours straight on an hourly, and then I look at those same 24 hours on a 1-minute chart, which one's going to be choppier? The 1-minute. Why? Because I'm looking at the same amount of data, even more data now, for that same amount of time, which means that during that time, more back and forth can happen. So of course, you need to get used to understanding what time frame is vital to look at a given time, because that's when it's going to get clear. And then it will get clear, and then it will get ugly, and you got to follow it when it's clear. Looks like also MA interaction when price is on the lower time frame is a little bit different. At times, yes, it is. Sometimes the 1-minute is going to have very clear price interaction with the MA and then have follow through on that. Other times it's going to start getting very choppy and wicky. And if you try to follow the same things you followed back here, you're going to start taking more losses, because again, you have access to more data, which means that during the same amount of time that you would have looked at before, there's going to be more chop. So if you're watching for the same amount of time, but now you're just trading a lower time frame, you're going to have to get used to staying out of criteria that are not clear. Do you have some advice on how to read price on a lower time frame? Yep. Repeat the same thing that you do. Stop thinking about time as an actual concept. In And could you run through an example of a 5-minute entry? So that's what we just did, right? So hopefully when I ran through these 5-minute entries, they made sense to you. They went from a clean market to a choppy one to, again, a clean one. And we executed a trade here, could have executed a trade here. Then it went to choppy. Then it became clean again. And then it never gave you a setup until right here, based on the rules that we had. But for me personally, I would not even take a trade here because now it's choppy. So what can you wait for if you're trading a 5-minute? Hopefully on Monday, Tuesday, whatever, price opens, maybe comes down, begins to make bullish price action. The MAs start to move in a cleaner fashion. Price creates a clean setup and you can take it higher. If that doesn't happen, you simply get to stay out of it. Because again, there are criteria that you look for that need to be present for you to take an entry. Just because they're present here doesn't mean the criteria is good. And very simply, if you had traded this, you'd be chopped up. It's the same thing. You just have to get used to it. It just doesn't feel like it because let's say you're on a daily chart. Look at this. If you were trading a daily here, it's so easy. It's so easy. It's so easy. It's still easy. And then you get this. So if this was a 1 minute, you'd be like, oh my God, it's fucking shit. It's choppy. It was clean, but now it's not clean. What do I do? What do I do? But the difference is that this was about 458 days. So you just go, oh, it's a bad market and you forget about it, right? But the 1 minute has bad markets for 458 minutes potentially. And you're sitting there like, oh, this market fucking sucks. What the fuck? Right? But in the reality, it's the same market, same conditions. It's just happening over those shorter bursts, which you're not used to because, hey, if the higher time frame is so clean, why isn't the lower clean? Well, because you need to be aware of how markets function, how money moves in and out of markets, and how, yes, there's going to be times, even in clean markets like this, where the lower time frame, the 1 hour, the 1 minute, is going to have insane chop inside of there. That's it. This looks like a real and an intermediate break simultaneously. Exactly. Yep. So that's another way that you could define, let's say, your MB entries, right? That's another way to define your MB buy stops or entries, or whether you're willing to take a buy stop or not in an area. That could be one of your confirmations, right? So after the first one is confirmed, you buy stop the break of the second one. Yeah, that's one of the systems I teach, where you do a double MB buy stop. You wait for the first one to confirm, you take the buy stop of the second. But already, just in that setup alone, there are so many factors that you can already be aware of to say that you're going to take that trade or not. Some are context related, some are the actual setup related. For instance, like today, what did we talk about? One of the setups that we saw that worked well is when the first MB was broken with a candle, clearly. And the second MB was created over the span of 1 to 4 candles. And in some cases, we actually saw that it's cleaner when it becomes a small range versus a large wiki one. Those are all factors of a double MB. Now, let me ask you guys. Here's a double MB, okay? And here's this double MB. Are they both double MBs? Is the first question. So I'm not going to scroll all the way down, but I hope you guys are saying yes. Now, the next question is, are these the same double MB? Now, I'm not going to scroll down, but I hope all of you are now saying no, because there can be characteristics behind the same setup that make it good or bad. This is exactly why some ICIs that you would take, I would not take. Some double MBs that you would take, I would not even consider. Some MBs that you would take, this guy would not consider. Some MBs that this funded member would take would never be considered by this funded member. Some triple M's that Dan would take, you would never even think about seeing it. Some that you would take, that you've been funded with, Dan would say you're fucking crazy for taking that, etc., etc., etc. Because just because both are the same thing, just because there's an ICI, just because there's a double MB, does not mean you should be taking it, because there are characteristics to the setups. Some can be, how large is this? How large is it in respect to the ATR? How large is it in respect to the second one? Are they connected? Are they not connected? Do I want to take them when they're connected or not connected? Does it matter? Is one smaller? Is one bigger? Is it better if one is bigger, one is smaller? Is it better if it is more, is it better if it's more tight? How does it look on the MAs? Is it better if it's wicks? Is it better if it's not wicks? Is it better if it's These are the factors that get tested in your system. Those are factors that I'm fully aware of for myself as I'm trading my system, right? Those are just some examples, by the way. There's tons, right? But those are just some that are really good to start focusing on because, well, they're clear ones. Dan says, it's all the same stuff being viewed in different ways. Exactly. Everything here since the very beginning has not changed in regards to what's been taught. I have not shifted the direction of the education. I've kept it as clean as possible in regards to teaching the same thing. The only thing that's happened is we've evolved it. We've given more people more opportunities, more tools to build out those systems that work the best for them. And that's always been the goal here. Can mitigator come back? Yep, exactly. So we went over that. Which time frame for data collection? For example, if your system is with the 1 minute time frame where there is not a lot of data available, can you do the daily instead? Don't know exactly what you mean by that. Dan tagged something in the Discord. Let's see what we got here. He said yes and then tagged something. So he said, wondering what kind of exercise you did on your road to become a funded member to really simplify and crack down on not only your system, but overall. Oh, sorry. Let's do a little psychological corner. Hello, guys. Welcome to the MentFX Psychological Corner. Let's learn a little bit about this funded member who has made a name for himself, who has been funded countless times and has taken home more money than some of us could even fathom to hold in our hands. Someone asked him, wondering what kind of exercise you did on your road to become funded to really simplify and crack down on not only your system, but context overall. Dan says, go back through the last 20, 30, 40 webinars, or however many you need to go. Go on the charts first and mark up what you think is correct. And then on the webinar, go look at the outlooks at the end. See why Ment has his outlook a certain way, what he says about different time frames, and compare. Let's go like this. There we go. And compare and compare what you've got on your charts with his charts. It's the quickest way to learn context, in my opinion. If it doesn't click, keep doing it. Another question. Currently, I'm going left in price, finding SSE ranges and seeing how they delivered and or failed on the inside structure. Good, but incorporate models as well when you're doing this. And SSE means nothing without the right context. Yes. This is an SSE. This is an SSE. This is an SSE. That's an SSE. That's an SSE. That's an SSE. It's all SSEs. The question is an SSE worth trading? What are the contents of that SSE? What are the higher time frames showing? What are the models that it's in? Someone else asks, but I think where I'm struggling is every time I do a top down from the monthly, weekly, daily, I just get lost in the models and don't know what the safest, quote unquote, most probable direction is. And then Dan says, okay, let's work backwards instead. If you're entering with a 1 minute, it would make sense to have some form of 5 to 15 minute validations to which you can build a context from the rule of 30 from that. So potentially like the 4 hour, 8 hour, and then the rule of 30 across the 4 hour, 8 hour to develop a higher time from context bias, anticipating a certain delivery that you want equals weekly or 2 week chart. Yep. So if you want a starting point, strip down to the bare minimum and go from there. So this is what we spoke about last week, where if you're having problems with all these time frames of trying to develop a context and line them up, why not keep it to 3? Entry, validation, context. And then if it's not there, you ignore that market. It's as simple as that. So it starts the weekly, identify what model it's in, where it's going, what it's delivering. If it's unclear, don't go down any further. If it's clear, go to a 4 hour. You can now prove the weekly. Is it good? Is it not? If it's not, leave. If it's good, great. Now go to the 5 to 15, find validation. Does the model line up with what you're seeing on the 4 hour? No, bad context, great. Or yes, then great. Keep going. Go down and see if you can get entries again. Sometimes it's good to reverse engineer and identify just a few key timeframes to work on. Exactly what we spoke about last week, if you guys remember that. Knowledge can always be built after this. Over time, you can implement more timeframes, but no point doing that before you've mastered the most basic context, right? So that's exactly what I've kind of spoke about today, where if you're all trying to figure out, let's say, how to buy stop that exact point like I do, it's going to be very, very hard. But if instead you step back and you say, okay, what were some of the prevalent things that happened in this case? Where are we in the previous range? What have previous ranges been telling us? What is the setup in regards to MBs? How do they look? How many candles were they? Can I spot another location like that? Hey, a very similar thing happened here. The same context, the same breakdown, the same move higher, the same setup. There is something similar there that I can now look for. If you simplify what you do initially, it gets a lot easier to get very, very good very quickly. If you start just because you heard me say use every single time frame and you start doing that, no shit it's going to be confusing. No shit you're going to get confused as you go from the weekly to the monthly to the daily to the 3-day to the 8-hour to the 4-hour to the 50-minute to the 1-minute. You could be like, where the fuck am I even going? Meant with the sauce. Appreciate you. All of the candles together look like a giant ICI. Yep, exactly. Yep. Scrolling down a little bit quicker now. Just going through all this stuff. Want to hit everybody's messages. I love how every year on December it becomes interactive. Yes, because we get started for 2024. The people that are brand new getting ready for their resolutions come in, and I'm just telling them everything they need to go forward because I know that it's going to be a ton of work. And I show them firsthand what they're getting involved in, but also that it's nothing crazy. It's not going to be some like complex thing that you're never going to figure out. It's very easy. It just takes a lot of work to make the easiness shine through with what you're doing personally. The first entry is pulled away from the MAs. The second entry MAs are tighter. Yeah, okay. But that's another element. Dan says, learning the underlying principles of the system is so important, almost like building the foundations to a skyscraper. Can't start a penthouse without building your way up to it. Exactly, right? If you don't lay the foundation first, if you're like that mall in China, I don't know if you guys remember that mall. They built the mall, great. They got a whole mall. They got a whole product there, right, that they can now get businesses in. That mall collapsed entirely after like a year or 2 years, fully. The whole thing just, boop, just fell down. No earthquake, nothing, I don't think. Just fell down. That's what happens, and that's what will happen to your equity curves, your systems, if you get funded, it'll happen to your funded account if you don't have a proper foundation first, which is why even if someone's ahead of you that's next to you right now in the trading space, realize it's all going to go to shit. Most people that make money through the gambling form, through the lottery ticket way in the trading space will lose all their money, whether it be in a year, whether it be in 2 years or 5. You'll be better off than every single one of those people in 5 years, 10 years from now because you realize you're building something consistent and dependable. They have something that is a Chinese mall that was not overlooked and had no proper foundation. MBs are fundamentals that move the market. Good ICIs are just tightened MBs that we buy stop. Is that correct? Yeah, that's a great way to think about it. The true fundamentals are the MBs and their stories. One way to get involved with good stories is through buy stopping intermediate MBs or a rule set of MBs. Exactly. And every single setup is basically that. Even if you take Dan's current system, with the way that he gets involved, he's basically buy stopping the first potential fractalized MB. That's all he's doing. He's not waiting for a double, but he's basically buy stopping the first fractalized MB validation. That's what's happening, right? Because he waits for the triple M, which is indeed a 2-candle setup, and then he buy stops through it. That's what's happening. How you define the second and the third MB. Like, I understand the first 2 candles down and break to do the top side, but I can't see that on the second or third. Through the rules, basically, that are kind of taught here, where an MB is measured by 2 or more candles, you can follow them up. And you can get very, very fractal and follow every 2 candles to spot those MBs, or you can get more intermediate and follow those MBs, right? You could even take price and just follow, like, you could say, here's MB1, here's MB2, here's MB3, here's MB4, here's MB5, here's MB6, here's MB... they start getting small, so maybe you go up. Here's MB7, but then it fails, so this is now MB1, MB2, MB starts again, so then MB1, MB2, MB3 starts forming, fails, so now you're waiting, basically, for price to start forming new MBs, and then you start getting these intermediate ones, MB1, now MB2 is forming. So theoretically, if you were trading a system that's very, very simple, this or this could be your next entry to keep on trading this market long, right? Just like if you buy stop this double MB here initially, you could have taken that, or this one here, or this one here, right? It's the exact same thing. So you can if you can do that with MBs on the larger scale, you can do them on a lower scale. So that's how you can count them if you're looking at intermediate ones or fractal ones. So you would not take the ICI after an overextension on the inter/fractal MBs. So again, that's not what I said. I gave you a few formulas for elements of what you can look for in determining whether or not there's an MB you want to buy stop or actually get involved in something. The main point was to show you that Just because I'm getting involved in these ICIs does not mean your whole understanding of trading should be, I should just buy any swing high that I feel is really good. It should be understanding that I've developed that through that exact same research for myself. And the best way for you to do that is to start at a simple level, like I'm only going to do double MBs or fractal double MBs, or if there's 5 intermediate MBs before a setup. Those are all elements of a good setup. So you're saying buy stopping the most relevant means the most good-looking MB, something that looks good to you unconsciously, something like that. Well, for me, it's not unconscious. I know what I'm looking for because I'm so used to looking at so much price. But to you, it'll seem very weird and random because, well, you don't have my brain, right? You don't have my background. You don't have my experience, which is why you have the tools to discover that for yourself. What's the difference between intermediate MB and fractal MB? They're very closely related. The way you can think about it is every fractal MB is an intermediate MB, but not every intermediate MB is a fractal MB, is the way you can think about it if you want. But in reality, they're like the exact same thing. Yeah, they're like the exact same thing. You can just think about it this way. Intermediate MBs can be the larger ones. Fractal can be the smaller ones. That's really it. And Huzaifa said it best here. Exactly. For my system, basically, if you guys are spotting this, I'm not restricting myself to the first 2 or 3 MBs or buy stopping those necessarily, or to the intermediate, or to the fractal. Instead, I'm restricted to what I'm used to seeing from a standpoint of models, MAs, and the candle movement. Would a 5-minute ICI be better than a 15-minute? How would you approach? Nope, it would not be better or worse or anything along those lines. It would just mean that scaling over time is going to get a problem, so you might have to scale up in terms of your time frames. Otherwise, it's the exact same thing. You just have to use a few different time frames to get to the context that you're willing to trade. Or if you keep noticing for some reason the 15-minute works much better for you, like the guy prior, use that. Apo says, Forex is so simple, I can't believe this shit. Yep, this market has always been a quote-unquote simple market. The hard part comes with the work you have to do to do it for yourself, do it consistently, and be aware or be in charge of every action that you take. Does this count as a valid entry about what you're talking about? Well, we spoke about a lot of things today. But for instance, like this one, no, right? But if you're following what we spoke about just now, you have MB1, MB2. This would be a phenomenal entry based on exactly what we just spoke about and what we just learned together. This works perfectly for the exact rules we just went over. The first one gets created through the trade up above like a fractal. Candle breaks higher. Then it goes sideways for 2 to 4 candles that aren't super wicky, and you buy up the next high and it delivers. That's perfection. This one is nothing wrong with it, but that's its own setup. That's a different kind of setup, right? And you could give it some names. You could make sure you understand this is like either fractal MBs like this. So it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 fractal ones, or 5 fractal intermediate ones. Or you have a larger one that gets validated, then a second one, and then you enter on the third one or fourth one, right? So again, you can define some rules for that. So yes and no. This is exactly what we just went over. That's an example of a trade you could take based on the exact rules we just covered with the entire team here, right? So again, just showcasing that what we spoke about isn't something that's like only going to happen on one market. This thing's going to happen everywhere. It's just that your eyes are now peeled to see that specific thing. iPhone says I'm much more profitable with 15-minute entries, but I'm a bit impatient waiting for a clean trade and just keep taking shit 15-minute entries and then switching to a 1-minute. What to do? Well, I mean, that's as simple as it gets, right? There's 2 things to do. 1, you can keep taking shit entries and never trade and go and do something else with your life. 2, you can do what's required of you and make millions and get funded. That's it. For me, it's a simple choice. For you, it might be hard, but I think you'll come out to the correct answer for yourself as you work yourself through that, and then you can do the stuff that matters, right? Instead of taking shit. Yep. It's all about repetitive practice to a mindset, but application can be different. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. Everyone wants to snipe. Exactly. So Schelling says, the difference between General Ment is the amount of kills. Ment has all the cargo, even stealth technology. There you go. Dan says, I see this a lot, even with this mentorship. People go in trying to trade with 5 to 6 different entry timeframes and styles of entry. Yes. Just focus on one and repeat and build on that. Yep. It's very important that people do that. Even here, you can't take everything. You can't run with everything. And it's going to be very hard to get it all down because the more things you add, the longer it's going to take to get to a level that you're proficient enough to do it for yourself. When they filmed American Sniper, it was a story based on Anton's childhood. Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you have to be the person that practices one kick or one setup. If you're the person that practices one element even of this setup here, or one element of aka MB1, MB2, or one element of this, right? Or just seeing it and get really good at it. That's it. You have a skill now that can make you, it's just an unbelievable amount of money, more money than you need right now to survive. And all it'll come down to is either trading your personal account or going ahead and get funded and then just focusing on only that, because you don't need more. More over time is only going to produce more opportunity. But until then, edge is edge, and you can have an edge by doing the minimal. Dan says, literally so true about the edge. I've only had 2 trades this month, but loving it. And then the other months, I could have 2 a day. Just focus on one criteria and use it on repeat. Exactly. Sahil says, so I'm going to follow a simple ICI that has a triple M plus interacting with the MA 10 and 20. Sure, that's a great start. There's still a lot of factors with just that alone. There's going to be so many opportunities of like, that's an ICI with the triple M with the 10 and 20. But the question is, how's it interacting? Those are things you're going to have to ask yourself as you take notes on your setup. But yes, that is exactly the kind of thing I want you to focus on. So, mad respect for that. Don't know what this is, but yes. I was talking about something, but I missed it. I just went to grab some water, came back to the screen. Never go for water mid-webinar. Hi, Anton, says user. Before the end of today's webinar, can you explain what's needed to join the MEN funding? Be from a country that's available on the country list to sign up, and then do what's on the rules site. I don't want to go over MEN funding here right now because there's no point. Anton, very important question. Do you play CS2? No, I don't. Even a simplified, so Shizen says, even a simplified version has many entries as it will work on thousands of assets. Yes, and that is why it's so powerful to learn one thing very well. Because once you have it, you can look at cryptos, you can look at stocks, you can look at futures, you can look at currencies. It doesn't matter what you look at. And you can find opportunities that are right in front of you that you might not even be aware of. Because I know for a fact there is an ICI, a really good one, setting up right now on 100 stocks that I haven't even known or seen the name of in my life. I know it's happening right now on 100 shit coins that I've never even thought to look at. I know there's millions of dollars of opportunity right there that I'm not even aware of. And that's a very good thing because that means 1, I have nothing to FOMO about or worry about. 2, if I miss anything for any reason, I just simply keep looking or I stop and I sit on the sideline. But 3, I know there's always going to be another opportunity just around the corner. So I can look for the cleanest ones that I'm willing to put my money and risk on and risk behind. So, yes. This is gold for those of you who are break even at the moment. Yep. I'd like to think somebody's first interaction with MentFX was today at this very moment in the webinar. There's definitely some new people here somewhere. And I hope that they picked up a lot today from this beautiful, beautiful diagram right here. Yep. I mean, but this is truly how it is. This is what most of our minds, even mine at some point, looked like. I was doing everything inside of here, just in the trading space, and then I had life and all the shit in life that would also affect the way that I could do all this shit inside of here. So as a result, I took an unbelievable amount of time doing dog shit nonstop. What up, Peace Pod? Good to see you, man. Apple says, Anton, you use ICI to trade indices, or is it your main thing on FX as well as of now? I use ICIs and the entries behind them to trade everything that I trade right now. Yeah, so Sahil says, even the first entry I took, so this entry I took, Sahil says he doesn't like it. And that's perfectly fine, right? For him, the better entry actually, and I agree, was right here, but it never validated, or right here or here. These were the better entries, right? Like this entry, I got lucky. But the cool thing is even if I got stopped out of it, boom, this is where I'd be in at this buy stop or here anyway, right? I would have taken just an extra loss before the wins. So it's as easy as that for me. You know, I didn't really care what this did. I even sent this out as I took this entry. I'm going to show you guys right now. Where's the US 100? Not this trade, but the one before it. Because I remember I sat through the whole thing on US 100. So before any of this, yeah, back here. All the way back here. Look at what I sent out. Right, this is what I sent out. This is the entry I took, and I knew it was going to set up again right here if I want to take another entry. So whether this took me out or doesn't take me out, I don't give a shit. I know that's moving perfectly in regards to what I want to see. The question now is the stage one that's happening right now going to take me out? Or is it not going to take me out and I get to be in it? Or is it going to take me out and then give me another beautiful setup that I can take long? Right, in this scenario here, it didn't take me out, so there's nothing for me to do. And then it set up this exact move right here. And then I sent another one in the trade talk, so I don't know where to find it right now, but it was just absolutely perfect, right? And it actually brings me to commemorate. I think I showed a lot of you that this is, just so you guys know, one of my best, this is actually my best last 5 months of my entire trading career. I just did 100% in about 5 months. It's been an insane fucking 5 months. Ever since August that I started kind of recording and showing you guys how I record my my journal and personally trading just on the FX side. I've done over 100% on my account, which is just fucking crazy to think about. I'm in a little downswing right now, very tiny, but let me see if I can bring this up for you guys. That's the max, but right now you can see I'm in a tiny little downswing, and we're gonna hopefully go in a little bit of a longer downswing. But the US 100 trade is still playing out. It's not even complete yet. So this still stands to gain even more money, right? It's locked in right now here, but this week, I mean, if this can just go, then I'm going to be managed here. It's going to be phenomenal. And then I'll be up like what? Another 3.5 R or something? So yeah, it's been just an absolutely insane last 5 months. And all I've been doing is following extremely, extremely simple rules, at least in my book. I've released a few videos showing you what those rules kind of look like when I'm trading any one pair. Or any one market, and it's just been absolutely crazy for me. And that's not taking into account any of my stock side. So none of the stocks that I've been taking through the same setups have been taken into account there. So it's been fucking nuts for me. I'd like to close above and a market enter. Yeah, that's fine too. You can wait for a close above. That can be a rule for yourself. There's nothing wrong with that. Sometimes waiting for a close is even better, right? Because it's showing you money sustains above its point. But I like to get in case it just blows up. iPhone says, so this is without models and MAs. Yeah, so like the setup here, right? Remember, this is a setup, theoretically. Or was it here, right? On a 15-minute or like a 5-minute? I don't remember. But like if you took this, if you don't take into account models or anything, then this right here is a potentially great entry, right? I say this had gone sideways too long for the ones that we were looking at, but that's a fine entry if you had taken it, right? Because over time you're gonna add in those things that are important. But like this is a phenomenal entry based on what we just went over, right? You get the MB1, then you get a sideways for 1 or 2 candles, and you buy stop. That's it. This could be your whole trade. And then as you take it, we can even make it even more clear. As you take it, you throw your stop in the green box. There's the green box, you see it? Throw it in the green box, either there or I guess now below the candle, because that's the only place that it makes sense to protect. You wait. Yep, still good. So you get tapped in, right? And then you simply manage your trade. So you can break even at your 1 to 3 or take your profit at 1 to 3. I don't know what your systems are, but you wait. Price starts going. Maybe you put in your line. Whoops. Maybe you put in your line like I use, or you don't. I don't really care. It's up to you how you want to do that. Like, that's a loss of momentum for me. So now I get to move to break even. That's my entire trade now, right? And now I can do whatever it wants. Okay, great. So break even, and then what does it do? And then loses. Okay, but like this would be my trade if I was trading a 5 minute. That's it. Whole trade's complete. It's very easy. And that was exactly the setup we saw and kind of studied today, right? So you'll see that in a lot of webinars, we'll do little interactive moments like these where we look over a specific rule and then we go and find them and we show a few examples because they happen every day. It's just a question of, is your mind set to is it wired to look for those kind of setups or not? And that's what you're doing here, is you're defining those things that you're wired to look for. That's it. Jonathan says, bro, I needed this. Hit like 10 losses in a row last night. Backtesting almost through the computer. Holy shit. Don't throw your computer. An understandable, profitable system. Good. Rule-based edge. Yep. Pratik says, meant. This is 3 months of live trading on a demo account. So he sent something. Let's take a look what we have here. So this is 3 months of him live trading. And only thing I understand is that I am very close to my freedom. Thanks for giving me such valuable information. Oh, dude, that's amazing. Very happy for you. He says, one of the main things in trading is it will click when it is time. Not early, not later, just at the exact time when it needs to. And staying here and keeping on learning has at least made me a break-even trader for and most probably 2024 fully funded. I'm looking forward to it, dude. That's really exciting to hear. I'm really happy for you. We got a little live trading here. Yeah, so a lot of trades. 0, 2, 0, 2, 1, 2, 0, minus. Yeah, a lot of back and forth, but looks good. I mean, yeah, keep it up. You're saying it yourself, and it's only going to get better for you. Because the more consistent you become in taking your normal wins, losses, the more you're allowed to work around how you're going to deal with your actual wins, so that as you keep taking the same losses, your wins start to become better, right? That's exactly why we do what we do here. So it's beautiful to see, dude. Happy Christmas in advance. Yep. Happy Christmas in advance to everyone here. The new one-on-one is having its own section. Yeah, I'm going to spiffy up the one-on-one section, give it more subject-oriented one-on-ones, and then start dropping those individually into there. Because I have a really good one that I need to release to you guys, but I want to make sure that it's in a more categorized way now, because there's a lot of stuff here, right? There's a lot of information. Would you say getting funded is more challenging or scaling your personal account while paying yourself? What's more challenging? It just depends. It's always going to be more challenging to be on a funded because you have a much bigger limit, right? Or you have to risk the same amount, and then you might as well just go for personal, technically. But it depends. It just depends. I just go with whatever works for you. The last one-on-one has not been released yet. iPhone says, I've been on the higher time from SSCs, but the problem is confirmations for me. How am I supposed to get involved? I've tried fractalized MBs and triple M, but they don't work or make the RR curve not positive due to me testing since 2017. Do you think you can make live trading videos doing higher time frame without MAs? No, because I use them personally. I also tested the ICI, but I get wicked out a lot and can't add it to my strategy because then it's poor R also failing my equity curve. So can you make a live trading video just pure SSC? No, because that's not what I trade right now, right? I need help getting involved, please, and thanks. So portions of the remastered course include their own kind of mini trade plans. And those are your best ones to orient yourself if you want to trade just pure SSC. Because the validation of demand, whether through an MB or through the actual candles themselves, is a form of SSC. So that's a system you can build your thing around. I have no interest in trading my system without a certain element to it, because those elements are what make my system the most profitable. So those are the elements I'm going to trade with, right? It's very simple. And if I'm just trading SSC, well, you already know. I'm trading my 1 minute, 5 second, 1 second system that I traded before. But I no longer need to do that, nor do I have the time to, nor is it worth for me to do that. So if you want to trade a lower time frame based system like that, there is countless of hundreds of hours on that system alone. So that's what I would follow. Anton, if price is ugly, says Sahil, but it creates a clear ICI for you, would you take it? Well, that's all. You're asking me a question where two things are clashing. How is it a clear ICI if price is ugly? So that's a given, right? He says, I got confused when price creates a clean ICI and ugly price action. I don't know what to do. Well, start recording your findings or simply stay out, right? But the question itself is a clash, right? You're basically saying, I don't know. You're basically saying if the market's unclear, but you have a clear setup in an unclear market, should you take it? But like, how does that make any sense, right? If market's unclear, I'm already not touching it, regardless of what it's doing. I don't care how clean the setup is, right? Like, when this starts, and then this is an ICI, whether or not it's a clear ICI doesn't matter to me. The market's already in a shit condition here. I'm not touching it, right? And then if this sets up an ICI, like here or here, why would I ever take a trade anywhere here? Because the market's already shown me it wants to wick around and chop around. So I'm not going to touch those. Dan says, some triple M's I take. I think I'm crazy too. It's okay. So Heel says, how did you become an idol here, Dan? Teach me also. Well, he simply followed what was put it right in front of him and then started to help others do the exact same thing that everyone should do. And as a result, got even better at what he already does well, because he did the things that were being meant to do, and now he's telling other people to do those things. And it's just a little cyclical journey of exactly that. And come on, Dan, give yourself some props. You're not just another guy. You've been crazy helpful to a lot of people. Also, Anton, can you give a quick breakdown on identifying different stages, stage 1 to stage 2? Sure. As it's moving sideways, expect stage 2 to start, especially in a clean market, to hopefully move like this. And then as stage 2 starts, you're likely undergoing a market that is going to go through some reaccumulations that continue higher. You can treat those as intermediate stage 1s to continue stage 2s. And that's how markets move. Apple says, to see where price is at the moment and where it might be heading. Oh, I forgot what we were talking about there. PB says, so the best way to find the setup that we want to trade, we study our winning trades in our current data set, then note all the factors that led to those trades. Then back to us just taking trades with those specific conditions so that all the trades are similar with those specific factors. That is the music to my ears what you just wrote there. Yes. Because then the question that I can ask is, what other better way is there than to do that? Right? What if you can present to me a better way to get good and get profitable than what you just said there? I am all ears. But that is the only thing that I've ever seen work for people, right? Because otherwise, what the fuck are you doing? Are you hoping to get the holy grail dropped in your lap by some EA creator on MQL5 that's going to give you a system that's going to make you millions out of nowhere? It's like, it's not how it works. So yeah, the only way to make a fuck ton of money for yourself from trading is either to give it to someone to trade it for you, because that's what they specialize in, and you can, and they have backed research that shows that they can do that, or to do the proper work so you can trust yourself. Are you going to restart your data gathering on your journal for 2024, Anton? Yeah, probably. Just to showcase the 2024? Sure. Dan finally putting a picture of himself so that we know it's the real Dan and not the fake one. Yeah. Hey, Anton, did you have a look at my trading journal? Yes, I did. Mike says, I do use a rule of 30 in my trading and testing, but I like to add more time frames to give me more info. Is that okay? Yes, it is. If you are used to it and you are happy to do it, yes. If it confuses you every time you add more, then no. It's really simple, right? Philip says, sorry, gotta go. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas, dude. In case I, for some reason, don't see you. But I'm, of course, going to wish you all a very beautiful Merry Christmas on the day of. And probably make a little video for everyone here. Do you care about overextension on the MB side of your entry time frame? No, not really. Not anymore. I'm usually quite happy to follow. Apple says, but that doesn't make sense. Overextension is eventually going to happen on some time frame fractally to get the big moves money wants. What do you mean? I forgot what we were talking about there. Apple says this mentorship will liquidate the composite man. That's not how it works, but it's a good goal. Could you maybe make a higher time from strat, please, using SSC and a confirmation in the zone, please, or would I have to pay you? So like again, I wouldn't trade a system where I'm confirming an SSC on a higher time frame because I'd be waiting way too long for it to happen. And personally, it's not as clean for me for following trends. I'd rather wait for the trend to begin, or very likely to begin, and then get involved, right? But you are free to make something like that, right? You can create a system around that. The only SSC-based systems that I used personally was the 1 minute one. And then over time, it diverged and evolved into what you now know as following trends. And we use the fundamentals of SSCs from a standpoint of demand creation, models, to follow through with moves. And I get involved using what? Buy stops, right? Or sell stops. So no, personally, like I'm not going to create a higher time from SSC out of thin air because I don't need to, right? It's not profitable for me to do that. Sonia says, patience and acquired skill. Took me at least 3 years to accomplish that. It can take time, yeah. Sahil says, is this context look good or worse? So I don't know about what the higher timeframes are doing, but price enters clearly a stage 2 here. This is actually a decent trade, I would say, around here. Then starts going very much sideways, so there's nothing to follow here. I wouldn't follow any of this anymore. My only trades here would probably be... would probably be here. And maybe I would take a trade here. Those are the only 2 trades that I'd probably take on this thing. And then here I'd just be taking this to the top side. Stop would be right now, right there. And then I'd be managing this. Hopefully it explodes. And then I take more partial here, move this up to the next MB, and let it stop you out, and whatever. Scott says, what is scaling? And Alex answers, in terms of account, it means getting a bigger one. Meaning even a small win in money-wise can be a bit, in RR-wise, a small win RR-wise is big in money-wise. Yeah. In terms of trading a system, it means going to a more higher time frame. It means taking less trades, and it means, well, potentially taking less trades. It means taking less trades on any one asset, but you can remember, if you have a higher time frame system, you can also look at 1,000, 3,000 markets if you want, which means you might actually take more trades, but it's going to be less trades on one given asset class, okay? Like if I'm trading only euro dollar and I go to a higher time frame, I'm trading probably 100 times less price action or 100 times less trades than I would on a lower time frame. But I also now open my ability to look at 1,000, 2,000 markets I might set up every single day. So I actually might be taking the same amount of trades now, but get to hold longer, let's say. It means to take less trades and less time, but with bigger accounts, it will give you more profit money-wise. Yep, and it has a very good likelihood to make you more money over time because of the fact that you've scaled more. It just happened on Bitcoin and most cryptos. Yeah, the cryptos have been crazy. I've been speaking about them for a few weeks now. I've been saying cryptos have been beautiful and just moving. A good prop firm for trading a lot of cryptos. No idea. I'd do your own research on that, but I'd be very careful. Shout out to the team from Amzino. Hope all the guys are doing good. Thank you, man. Lots of people got funded this month? Yes, sir. Apple says, so I'm guessing, Anton, you don't use SNDs that much anymore. Now you use mostly MBs. Well, they're the exact same thing. Apple says, I know, but I mean the unmitigated areas within the refinements. Yeah, I don't do all that anymore. I don't need to refine my zones and find specific areas to confirm because, well, I don't confirm like that anymore, right? Sahad says, how are these stop boxes calculated? They simply use the ATR measurement, and then they look at the most recent swings. That's really it. Nothing crazy. So, swing, this is the ATR above it. So if you sold this, if you were a sell stopper here for some reason, then this is likely putting you within the 1 to 2 ATR range. It's probably something like this, and then take it lower. But, I'm not trading US 100 short right now. I'm long on this very heavily. So we're just letting this thing, hopefully, deliver all week. And hopefully it keeps delivering, because it's just been beautiful. Hopefully we just keep going on this. R says, is it possible you can save your current journal to use Google Sheets? Yeah, I'll try to transfer it into Google Sheets and stuff, but I just use Excel right now. Kenny says the validation timeframes are a game changer for him. Good. Jonathan says, is there a specific video going over the Excel trading journal? The R analytics seem to be stuck. I guess it's not important. Yeah, I think there's, in the hashtag the process, there should be 2 videos on it. Peas Pod says, on Christmas, can you make a video of you dancing and singing? Have a jolly, jolly Christmas. If you have to pay for it, I'm willing to pay $30K. If you pay $30K, I'll dance for you. It sounds like a decent deal. Hey man, what super expensive gift can I get you in the future when I make it, because you changed my trading career tremendously? Message me once you're a millionaire, okay? Are we gonna have an outlook for next week? Yeah, sure. Sure, let's do an outlook right now. So, personally, following US 100 longs very clearly. Right now, I'm just managing this trade as is, and don't really see a reason to do anything else at the moment. This can set up a trade for sure. If we have it probably come up, something like so, it can probably set up a nice trade around here. So I'll consider taking another entry there while still in this one. Otherwise, I don't see much to do there, but this should be good. Probably watch for US 100 long. EU is kind of it's just complex. It's in accumulation and redistribution. It's very hard to determine what it wants to do. 8 hour is in some kind of accumulation, right? Accumulation to this like reaccumulation and moving long. So we have some prospect for a potential move higher. The hourly hasn't validated any demand yet. So I would wait for this thing to at least validate some demand if I was to follow it, and then start following it on a lower time frame if this can start moving more towards accumulation, because right now it's in distribution. So EU, I want to be long, but right now it's doing nothing for me, so I'm going to ignore that. GJ and the other pairs like it, they've just been kind of going sideways for a long time. And I told you guys, since we're going to be in this for a while, it's probably going to go back and forth for a while. So I'm going to ignore that until we get out of this. So again, a lot of stuff is just sideline right now. Gold might create a setup this week for the long side. I'll be watching for it, but right now it has nothing. This will have to probably like come up or come down, start breaking up, and then maybe give you a setup somewhere around here. But right now I don't see anything on it. I'll have it on my watch list, but there's no trades there yet. Silver can be the same thing as gold, but it's a little bit more choppy, so I'd probably ignore this at the moment. Yeah, and then other than that, I don't really see anything. Oil's like just ugly for my personal criteria of entry. It started being good, now it's in distribution. 8 hours like the same thing, in distribution. 1 hour is in a redistribution, and actually is validating supply to the downside, which is good actually. So actually there might be a short in this thing this week. But this is 50-minute is in reaccumulation, so you're talking about a pretty clear clash there. Now I don't like that. I don't like clashing, so this is like, you need to wait for this to break down probably, and then maybe you can get a setup to the downside somewhere around here. And maybe I'll enter here or here. But other than that, I don't see anything there as well. So oil might have a short this week. This has just been ugly. I'm just going to ignore UCAD completely. Pretty sure I'm going to ignore it completely. Yeah, this thing is in like potential reaccumulation, but clearly on the downside. 8 hours probably in distribution. Yeah, 8 hours in clear distribution. So selling somewhere in there could have been fine. Hourly just in clear distribution. You have supply valid to the downside right now. So I'm going to invert this now for a second. Yeah, so this had a beautiful, beautiful run up or run down, however you want to call it. Run up, And now, I mean, yeah, it could create a setup. You might play around here a little bit and then set up something around here. Probably look for this setup right here. So actually, UCAD's okay for a potential short as well. But then I wonder what the screener and the sentiment viewer is saying right now. So I'm going to check that. So I was just looking at bullish stuff. We can go here and we can look at all bearish. Does UCAD hit this? No, not really. What's UCAD doing? Yeah, so pretty bullish on the higher, but 15-minute might have space to work with there. Could be okay. So yeah, UCAD short. I'll probably follow something if it can set up. Gold, potential longs, nowhere near the setup though. US 100 longs look good. I like US 100 longs. They look clear right now. And then Bitcoin, I saw that show up for a second on the screener. So yeah, this has been just beautiful, and a lot of shit coins have followed it. So daily's still in a clear bullish bias. 8 hours clearly bullish, which is good. Hourly is, yeah, it's stuck. The hourly is stuck. So I'd probably ignore this until at least if I can create a scenario like this right here, I'll go down to a 15-minute. Well, I won't, because I'm not trading Bitcoin right now at all, because I don't have a good exchange to trade it with. And then you can follow a new setup with an accumulation right here. But right now I don't see anything. Otherwise, if it like starts doing that and then it fails again, I'd start ignoring this completely, because the longer you start entering a range like this, the more likely new moves start to continue to fail and chop. So if this happens, then I'd start following it, or you guys can start following it. I'm not following Bitcoin right now, but if it does, that's a good follow through to look for. Otherwise, I would just stay away from it as it chops. But let's see what a lower time frame is doing, and see if you can get involved in this on a lower time frame if you were trading it. Lower time frame is, it's in like distribution right now, so I'd wait for this to start entering accumulation and then follow it on a lower time frame. But right now, I would not touch it. Yeah, I would not touch it right now. But there's your mini outlook for the upcoming week. And then of course I'm watching a few stocks. I'm in this Geyer thing. I just took the ICI through this high. Was very, very clean. Clean accumulation, beautiful reaccumulation, just super, super simple. Clearly bullish market. No reason not to follow it, so hopefully I get some follow through there. And I think I have some other things I was watching. Yeah, this might set up this week. Have demand validated, so that's good. This can set up probably this week as well. And this is a little bit ugly right now for me. But maybe one more hour, something like this, and then buy stop that. So you got a few moves there, but that's just on the stock side. I haven't made a lot of videos on the stock side outside of the ICI extras, so maybe I'll start talking about more stocks with you guys as I'm looking at a lot of stuff. But yeah, for the upcoming week, I'm really just focused on US 100. I feel like a lot of the other stuff is relatively ugly or in a sideways market or just not in a clear context to keep following right now. So a lot of it is sidelines for me. Okay. Yeah, so webinar probably not for next week, but I will update you in the announcements. But very likely not. I'm going to be away in a different state with family, so it's going to likely be pretty hard to establish something like that. iPhone says, okay, what shall I do then if I'm learning off you? To use the SSC base system only, you have to use it on lower time frame only, and then for higher time frame, I have to use the MA base and model base. I look at multiple markets. I'm on indices focus, but it doesn't help that you cannot help me with this English. Not good for me. Sorry. Well, what do you mean? I mean, your English is fine. But yeah, if you want to use just SSC-based entries where you confirm every zone, then you can do it on a higher time frame. You can build out a system like that for yourself. There's nothing wrong with that. You have everything that has been taught from the very beginning for doing that. So that's all available. And I've shown my system for that, and I've traded a system like that for myself profitably for a very long time. However, as I move to a higher time frame, as I have, I'm showcasing exactly the systems I use now, which is more so by stopping MBs or intermediate MBs or ICIs, and I do that within context, right? That's really it. A little bit confused what the question is. You're just saying, what should I do if I'm learning off you? Well, I'm giving you exactly what I do. I'm putting it right in front of you, right? Can we trade US 100 on the competition? I believe so, yeah. If Forex is a thing that will make me a millionaire, I have to gift something heavy to Anton too. Appreciate you, sir. Xylek is looking at Riot. Yeah, maybe. Yeah. Could be a setup. Yeah, it could work. I don't see a setup on it right now personally, but yeah, if it comes down a little bit, comes up, makes a setup, comes down, comes up, maybe up here. Yeah, could do it. I don't see it right now though. Nice song. Nice song, bro. Every when do you withdraw from that account, bro? Just as I need to. I don't just take out money randomly. Sol USD. Yeah, I mean, it looks like Bitcoin. Very bullish. Yeah, bullish has been really good. If you were getting involved anywhere in here or here, you're in a really good spot. These were really clear markets. Yeah, I mean, this is great. All that was good opportunity. Good opportunities here. Kind of hard to follow those. I probably would ignore them. And now you're entering distribution on the hourly. So you're either in this trade now and you're taking it to the top side, or you're waiting for cleaner entries because right now it's in distribution. But yeah, it's been good. There's been phenomenal entries available to you on the way up. There were some beautiful trades inside of here and here, maybe even here. So yeah. How do you like your MAs to interact while forming the setup? I would watch the ICI extras or the system videos. Isn't US 100 kind of far from the MA on the daily? If it is, you don't have to trade it. That's fine for me. I can easily see this following through. Like, this looks like it has no problem doing something like this. So I'm happy. Oh, sorry, that's USD. Yeah, this looks like it has no problem making another move higher like that. Right? Even if it goes to like there. That's going to be an insane gain on my... Like, that's more than enough space to follow a new entry. This will take this to like a really beautiful profit. Yeah. It's not extended in my book, but it could snap back, which is why, I have rules to follow my longs. My best trade last week was a sell on oil. Good shit, dude. You caught that down? Oh, wow, you did. Right inside of there. Holy shit. Was this on a lower time frame? Hopefully this is like a 1 minute or something. That's hard to catch. The only setup I see here on a 5 minute is like maybe here on a 5 minute. Otherwise, that's crazy. If you caught this on a 5 minute, I don't know what rules you use, but that's nuts. Good for you, dude. Thanks, Anton, for another blessed webinar. No problem, Shellings. I'll see you. Have a Merry Christmas to you, too. I'll see you in the trade talks. Pratik says, what will you say to people who learn here and start their own training or coaching without being profitable, but they share your results and market them as their own? That's a very interesting question. I don't know. Good for them, I guess. But whatever, people can do whatever the fuck they want to do, man. What's the red and green premium discount in the range? They're not premium discount. I don't teach premium discount. Those are stop boxes, and I went over earlier today what they are. They're just places to put your stop if you're getting involved in the sell or along. You can check out the webinar right after to check out where I spoke about that. Merry Christmas to you all and to the boss. I appreciate you, G. And then XRP, probably the same as Sol and all the others. Oh no, just ugly. Longer term range, probably don't follow. 8 hour, yeah, also stuck in a long term range. Yeah, I would not follow this. Very wiki market. Don't even care about what the models look like. Very, very wiki market. My question is, what shall I use to get involved in the daily SSC? What shall I use confirmation? Because less than 30% of them even follow through liquidity. They just go halfway and then fail. You can use any of the Section 5 criteria that are taught, dude. Of course. And, I mean, if that's what you spot about the daily SSCs, then there's a question to ask of, should you be even entering them, right? You have to realize there's a reason that I personally use the ICI criteria within the model context of trades to enter my personal trades, right? So if you're waiting on a daily time frame for this to set up every single time and then take an entry from here, well, I mean, that's a different system, right? And you're free to do that, but there's a reason I've over time segued away from this kind of market, from this kind of trading, and segued more into understanding what are markets doing, what is the story that is being told by the market, what are the principles by which I can get involved. Why do you use EMAs instead of SMAs? I don't. I use SMAs, but it doesn't matter. You can use whatever you want. It's just what I've gotten used to. I've gotten used to what the SMA looks like when I look for my entries, and if it's not clear or moving in a way that's not clean for me, I'll walk away from it. But right now, it looks pretty good. Looks clear. Looks like it can start coming up. Can't see my screen. That's not good. I notice crypto respects SSE heavily. From time to time, right? The problem is sometimes, like right now, you might have something do that, like what, on a daily or something. I don't know where, but yeah, like you'll have it happen here, right? There it is. It's followed through. But again, when was the last time it's done that, right? It did one here as well, but this is just building a cluster, so that's fine. It didn't do one, well, technically this was the last SSC as well, so it also respected that one, right? So it did it on this 12-hour multiple times. Let's go to the daily. There we go. So this one's good. Okay, this one we can ignore now. This one's fine. So you had those two, and then since then, there's been none. Yeah, there's been absolutely none. If you take into account absorption, maybe here, but the likelihood is that you wouldn't because this would be refined to here, so that wouldn't happen. So no SSC has been respected on this since this short one right here. And even then, if you refine it, again, it technically got absorbed. So this would be a little bit harder to say it's yes or a no to. So look at this, right? None got held until here. Even that one got kind of absorbed, right? So you have to be very careful. Which one are you going to treat as a clear SSC that actually delivered? So this is the problem that the guy that is talking right now, iPhone, I don't know what your name is, sorry, G, but that's the problem he's having right now, right? Like, he wants to enter SSCs only, but if you do the math, if you study markets, any one market, the last time it had one that didn't absorb too much was here, and then the most recent one was here. So again, on a market, you might wait 712 days, 2 years before you have an SSC that actually confirms and then follows through. And then the question becomes, did your confirmation even get you into the trade? So for me personally, that's not the kind of system that I want to wait for or look for or rely on. Instead, I wanted something that I can look at the trend of, decide the trend is worthy of following, and then start getting involved with a criteria that happens everywhere instead, right? So that's just my personal approach to it. But this is fine as well, depending on what you want to do, right? There you go. It is the Bitcoin dominance. You used to see the overall relative strength of altcoins compared to Bitcoin. Yeah, Bitcoin's been great recently. Right now, though, I think it's in a little bit of a range. It's a little bit scary right now. But if this can make its way out of this range, upside is definitely looking promising. Upside looks really good right now. We've been talking about this upside for a while now. Ever since we saw the first bits of the upside, I think originally from, was it here? I think when we first started seeing this accumulate and then this started taking off, we said we're going to see some really nice follow through. And I said it probably come up to, did I say like 52K, 50, something like here? I don't remember exactly, but yeah, this has been great. Do you like GA? 1 hour bias, 5-minute confirm. So entered some kind of distribution, redistributed, broke down a few times, redistributing. Supply is currently valid. Probably look at a 15 or a 20 minute just for supply right now. Yeah, supply looks like it's in control. Looks good. And 5-minute, I mean, there's no entry right now. Sadly, it was the end of the week. Your most recent entry might have been, I don't see one here. Yeah, this could set up this week for sure. Like, you could get maybe something like this, right? And then the follow through for sure. Have you heard the news about ACAP being scammy or something? I have not. Merry Christmas, man. All the best for you and your family. Thank you, bro. Thank you. Dan says, I hope you all have a lovely Xmas and New Year's. If we don't have a webinar before 2024, make the rest of the year count. I agree. Don't get complacent and say you'll start in January. Yep, there's no point. Make sure you start working now. I agree. If you're within that break-even realm or still a non-profitable trader, I promise you with the hard work, you'll get there much quicker than you even realize. Looking forward to another year of MentFX. I'm not leaving. I appreciate you, Dan. I'll see you, man. If you're out of here, that is. What piece of advice would you give to younger Anton? Don't blame anyone but yourself. Simplify the things that you're doing right now. Start recording the things that you're doing, like testing, and stick to one thing, probably. I don't know. Proper words. I notice that sometimes I say to myself, I'll start from Monday, like new week, new challenges, but this was procrastination starts from. Yeah, no need to procrastinate. Just start. P-Spot says, cryptos and commodities are my favorite. Oil, copper, natural gas, and Bitcoin, and Ethereum, and maybe XRP. Bro, my only worry is if I backtest and learn crypto and crypto goes to shit, then my backtest is gone too. Nope. There are countless markets that do what Bitcoin's doing right now. It's just that right now, crypto's hot. So this is what crypto's doing. When crypto's hot, it will make hot moves. When orange juice, I'm sure you guys saw this. When orange juice is hot, it will make those moves. When GameStop is hot, it will make those moves. When UJ is hot, it will make those moves. When fucking coffee is hot, it will make those moves. Okay? So you need to relax when it comes to thinking that what you're doing now is only going to work on that one pair. Markets undergo trends. The money that moves into markets is cyclical. If you can try to appreciate and understand when trends begin and start to sustain themselves and you start to trade those sections and areas, you are going to be in a really good spot. When US 100 trends start, they go. When they start, they go. When they start, they hopefully do what? They go. Hence why you can see I'm bullish on this, right? Definitely rewatching this bad boy. I'll see you, dude. I hope it's not too late for questions. I'm pretty good at following a trend that holds and staying out when the market looks unclear to me, but I have trouble seeing and anticipating when there's a move from a bullish to bearish market or vice versa. Watch System Part 2. Watch the most recent Part 2 of the system I just released to you guys. A big focus of that was giving you principles and points as to how to actually see that coming and then not take a ton of losses in the process of it happening. What are you driving right now? A Tiguan. Why start recording? Like, start recording in journal. Yep, in journal. Sarah says, best decision I've made is joining this mentorship. I appreciate you, dude. I know 2024 will be such a big yesterday for me. Finally started testing and it will continue. Good. Good. Bro, you know someone said to me, Bitcoin only pumped because the founder of BlackRock said that Bitcoin is good. Yeah, whatever. Those people are going to blow their money. That, you know, that shit does not matter. I thought, you know, if I dare say this to men, he'll slap me with a fucking fish. Yeah. Taking partials is important, question mark. Depends on the system. But I take partials, and it's an important it's an important portion of my system. So yes. For me, yes. Dan's heading off. I'm about to head off as well. I'm just going through the last few key points here. Appreciate you. Appreciate you too, Kenny. I'll see you in the next one, man. Heading off. I'll see you, Dan, as well. The news traders are just gamblers. Yep. Anyone that's trading news that isn't holding for at least a few weeks, the people that are just trying to buy stop or sell stop news, in most cases, they are going to blow their accounts or they're not trading live, is usually the case. News traders and people that get involved on that kind of thing are losers in the long run. Is there any instructions how to use the journal template? Yep, in the hashtag the process section. Check that out, and I'll probably put more out there as well. Wish everyone has an awesome Christmas. I'll see you, dude. If you're a break-even, aren't you profitable trader in the long run? If you keep improving, otherwise you'll stay break-even. Someone asked me about Pan W. So yeah, if you guys want me to look at some stocks now, I can. We only have about 100 people in here left. So if anyone's heading off, thank you guys for being here. You guys are amazing. Appreciate you a ton for showing up, having a nice little Sunday. Nice little chill Sunday here with everyone. And I wish you all a very, very happy week as we get primed for Christmas. So good luck, everyone. All right, you said, so what were you looking at here? Pan W? Yeah, it's pretty high up, though. It's okay, maybe. Yeah, it could set up. I would give it a little bit more time. You see, like, where it is now? I'd want it to... I would say this is where this was. You see this? I would wait for either this setup or, like, this setup. So, same thing goes. So, either fall down, build up a little bit, and then trade. Or come up, fall down a little, and then trade. Or wait for it to get past. Small little sideways, trade. Small little sideways, same thing, trade. Right? So, I would kind of look for this if I was to trade this. Okay? Very simple. Nifty. Yep. Longs came in. Longs are good. Exact same thing we spoke about. We said the longs would come in beautifully, and they started coming in beautifully. Accumulation played out. Daily was in clear reaccumulation. Back and forth. Boom. Started taking off. If you're not in this, you are now on the sidelines. You should be in this trade anywhere inside of here. Or maybe inside of here. Yeah. If you're not in this, you're on the sidelines. The only trades available here were probably here, maybe here, and now you're waiting. This is where you're too late. This is where you should be in. So that's very simple. This is now a pause market. Exactly what we talked about in webinar 128. What did I say? We were looking for longs to continue the long. Yeah. Now it's too late for sure. This is way too late to watch it and do anything. Now you're just taking profits and letting the rest run. So right now, you know, like you should have a partial stop here or here, and hopefully you keep expanding and then you take a even better partial, or it should take you out now, and then it should either collapse or it should go for a crazy one-time runner, and then you'll get your sideways. But right now you have to. There's nothing you can do. Unless you're on a very low time frame, then maybe, right? So like 4 hour, you're talking about accumulation, which is very clear. Hourly, yeah, accumulation, everything's accumulation. So again, even on a 1 minute or 5 minute and stuff, you should be trading in here and here. This is late, right? You should be getting involved. So if this starts going sideways again, maybe there'll be a 1 minute trade here for another move, right? And then again, if you look at this, your opportunities are here and here and here and here. In here, this is too late. This is where you need to wait again. After the reaccumulation, for sure what you said. My first day in the live. See you, man. Good stuff. Anton, I've started my evaluation with 0.5%. Having feeling like it's more for me. I'm thinking to go as low as 0.25. That's fine. It's going to be longer to pass, but I think it's easy on my emotions. Yeah, that's good. That's perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong with that. Okay, guys. We're going to wrap this up. Going to wrap this bad boy up. Thank you all for being here, all right? I'll see you guys. I appreciate you.